Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, December 2nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about the tool of technical charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And before I get started, I do want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering on Thursday. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you're wanting to learn more about charts and this tool and how they can be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can click on, or if you're watching at my site, then there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click on to get signed up. So if you're liking what you see, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Now, before I get into the stocks, a couple quick clarification points. First off, I am using what is known as the 30-minute time frame. So if you're a beginner, all that means is that each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. And then second, the market is still open for a while, so you're not crazy, but as I go, you're going to notice that candle moving around still because the market is still open for a little bit, but the levels I talk about are still going to be relevant heading into Thursday. So let's get to it here. First one, ticker symbol ABUS. And this is strictly based on the fact of, all right, this thing had a lot of volume. It showed the ability to move very, very quickly. I mean, you think about it. I mean, it first off had a big gap up, pulled back, and then exploded upwards, showing the capability that it has to move very, very quickly. And then when you consider the price range, you know, those percentages can add up very quickly. But now all of a sudden, things have gotten very, very ugly. And I'm sure a lot of people have given up on it. But this is one of these situations where you can have a lot of people giving up on something. And then, I mean, have you ever been there, right? You give up on a stock and then all of a sudden it goes in your favor. And that's where this area down here around $4.10 becomes a very fascinating level. It's clearly bounced off it before. Does that mean that it'll for sure come down and bounce again? Absolutely not. There are no for sures. However, is it a valid thought? Is it plausible to think that it could bounce off 410? Yeah, absolutely. It's done it before. Now, if it's never done it before and I'm sitting here and saying it could bounce off 410, you'd be justified to say, well, what are you talking about? What are you basing that on? It's never happened before, but that's not the case here. It has. So again, does not mean that it's guaranteed to happen, but it does make it a valid, area to keep an eye on. And from a risk reward standpoint, so that assumes, of course, you have risk, control systems within your strategy. Then, if you get the bounce, fantastic. If not, then you're going to look at a very minimal risk there, but that's definitely a super interesting dynamic here. Again, mainly based on the fact that it's shown the ability to move very quickly. It's got a ton of volume. So you got to think that there's still going to be people watching it tomorrow. So let's see how it behaves if it gets down to 410. Next one, ARDX did this analysis in yesterday's top 10, and you can see got a great breakout from that pattern here. But just like ABUS, same general premise here. Yeah, things are looking ugly. Big move up, and then just has been bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. But once again, that does lead to the point of, okay, well, maybe there's going to be some point where a bunch of people are giving up, and that's where things can turn around. So I'm not going to repeat myself because the general premise is the exact same as what we just talked about. So that it just becomes, okay, Clay, well, in the previous stock, ABUS, it was $4.10. So where's the $4.10 mark on this one? And that would be these moving averages down here. You can see that the pink line right there is the 200 period moving average valued at $1.05. So keep an eye on that. And if the price comes down to that general area, that could be one of those bounce areas. But again, no guarantees. Is it plausible? Is it valid to think about that as an area? Yeah. I mean, 200 period moving average, very famous. You got the 50 period right next to it. So while nothing is guaranteed, it's plausible. So if you like to play these sorts of pullbacks on stocks that showed, a very big ability to move quickly, then this is yet another one that I would say put on the watch list. Next one, AMC, and clearly a lot of people still follow this one and wanting to get it updated here as the bloodshed continues on it. Now, granted, the markets didn't have a great day today either. However, this really was outpacing the market, so updates need to be done, and going to just get rid of both of those lines as they served a purpose. And just to give a little context here, I mean, we have to go back way into the chart's history in order to look at where, the last time the price was down around, oh, wow, I didn't realize. Okay, we're actually going to change. So I said 30-minute, but on this one, we got to go back to the daily time frame, meaning now each one of these represents a day. And on that note, you can see that the price is actually now broken down below that pink line, the 200-day moving average. And that's one of those areas where even if you have a very basic understanding, you've heard of the 200-day moving average, and you know that when prices break down below it, not exactly the thing that you want to see. So as far as next potential areas of support are concerned, that would be down here at the $24 mark, which was coming from way back there in late May. So if the price were to go to, I mean, even now where the price is, the last time it's been down around here was also basically late May, early June. So it's been a long time, multiple months since the price has been down around this level. But $24 will be that next key area of support. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then this is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken, they tend to act as resistances. And as I talked about, that 200 period moving average was a support, but now that it's been broken, any sort of bounces, that $31 mark, which is the value of the 200 period moving average, is going to be that main level to keep an eye on. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, definitely the bearishness continues here on AMC. We are now back on the 30-minute time frame, and we are looking here at CNTX. And sometimes you just have a bunch of them that play out and are essentially the same premise here. And in this situation, premise being it's ugly, where could a potential, bounce area be? And that would be this gap close location down here around $6.25. So keep an eye on 6.75. That is a very interesting level where, from an overall trend perspective, right? If the price were to come down here and then, head back up, well, that was bizarre. There we go. I think I fixed it. I think I had like a piece of lint or something in my mouth, so it was getting all jumpy as you saw there. But if the price were to come down, there we go, nice and smooth, and come down there, bounce around that area, stay above that area, what would you still have from the bigger picture? Well, you'd have a set of lows there, you'd have lows there, you'd have lows down there, and if you envision each one of those as stair steps, well, you'd still have overall stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. So that is a very logical pullback point for just from an overall trend perspective. It would make sense that the price could go to and bounce from. So just because it makes sense, though, again, doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. And I'm going to keep repeating myself because I don't want people to think that there's all of a sudden guarantees in the market, because that's what I'm not saying. I'm just trying to point out rational areas where, it's not some sort of random area to be thinking about. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then the main area of resistance right now, right up here at about $9 and actually, yeah, let's change that. There we go. Not $9, but $8.85. So keep an eye on that. But this is, once again, if you still believe in the trend, if you still believe in the overall momentum, and you like to play pullbacks, buy dips, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, you could have a very interesting level down here at 675. Next one, LCID, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the previous top 10 video I did, but I talked about this overall pattern that's been in place, and I put that trend line in place, and wouldn't you know it, check out right where the price is now trying to consolidate out, the power of charts, the power of trend lines, right there at that trend line there, which is right around, let's just call it the 5150 mark. So the big question mark moving into tomorrow is, all right, is this trend line going to hold? Is this trend line going to produce some sort of bounce? It's done it before. Or are the bears going to pick up pace and then get the push down through that trend line? If the price does break through the trend line, the next key area of support to watch very closely would be that pink line there again, 200 period moving average valued at 49.50. But if the price can try to bounce back upwards, yeah, you have the the top part of the pattern up here. But really, the first key level of resistance before you put any focus on that one up there would be the 50 period moving average valued at 53.25. So watch that if the price does indeed start to get the bounce. But no doubt about it, a very, very interesting location for the price to be chopping around right now. And that's the big question mark moving forward. Is this trend line going to hold, or is it going to fail? Thursday is going to be very entertaining. Next one here, SNDL, and I'm just doing this one mainly because a lot of people are still curious about this. One used to be very popular, so there's lots of people asking it. There's lots of questions coming in on it, and I just want to quickly go over it. And I realize I'm stating the obvious here. Very, very bearish, right? To think that it spiked upwards, big move, and then it's just been bleeding. I realize that I'm saying the obvious when it's bearish. But the question really is, okay, but is this thing going to turn around? Is there some hope? Is there any bullishness? And I would not have any hope at all until the price can at least get back above the purple line there, the 50 period moving average, which is essentially serving as a trend line. But let me be very clear, even if the price were to, get slightly above it, that doesn't mean that a reversal is for sure going to happen. I'm just saying at that point, it starts to make sense to have some sort of hope, to have some sort of bullishness. But even if the price moves upwards, still, it was below that purple line, failed. There's a nice move upwards, below the purple line, failed. Right there. Nice upwards move today. Whoops, failed back to the downside. So just because the price starts to go up, I guess have a little hope, but as far as kind of official, logical hope to start to have, I would not have anything as long as the price is down below that purple line. But just to reiterate, even if the price does go slightly up above it, there's still a whole lot more work to be done. But at least at that point, it starts to become, valid to have some sort of bullishness. But yeah, that purple line is really the most straightforward way to gauge this one moving forward. Next one, IMGN, and very, very nice recovery. I talked about this yesterday, how it started to bounce out late day, and was that any sort of leading indicator? And absolutely, first 30 minutes, big surge up. So updates need to be made here, and the first key update is just based on that rule that I talked about already. but when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So the ideal level of support now moving forward is at 660. I say ideal because if you were to ask Clay, what's going to make this chart look the absolute best moving forward? Definitely if the price can stay above 660. But from an overarching standpoint, just continue to watch a 50 period moving average. And as the name implies, this level will keep on moving higher and higher, which, as I just talked about with the previous one, this is basically serving as a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So in other words, from a macro overall standpoint, as long as the price stays above the trend line, then the overall trend is still in the bullish direction. So if you do care about somebody, or if you are somebody that cares about more so the bigger picture point of view, then yeah, again, 660 would be fantastic if the price can hold above it. But if the price does drop below it, it's not like the chart's ruined because you still would have the price up above that purple line. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, key dynamic here, going to be right up around 735. It seems that first initial level of resistance now followed by, up there around 775. But let's just first see if the price can even break above that initial level. But all in all, very nice recovery after yesterday's kind of deeper pullback, and the trend continues to build higher. So the next couple of days are going to be very interesting. Next one here, AAPL Apple, and a super interesting dynamic here, which I've already talked about, and it's all based on this red line here, 165.75, which I talked about in yesterday's video as a resistance. You very clearly got the break, but then according to the rule that I've talked about, when resistances are broken, say it with me, you would then want to see them act as support. And wouldn't you know it, the price has had this deep pullback, and then all of a sudden, right here at this green line, generally speaking, you're starting to get another green candle. So the big question mark moving forward is, okay, is the price going to bounce? So like LCID, remember, the price was at a very interesting technical level. Same exact premise here. A lot of people have noticed this, and a lot of people are wondering, okay, is this pullback going to get even worse if the price separates down through that former resistance, which is now support? Or, as it looks right now, is this level going to act as support and then get the price back upwards? But the overall idea is, from a trading standpoint, the price is at a very interesting technical area. It's already starting to act like you would suspect it to act at a support to start to bounce back upwards. And if this thing can recover back, in the upwards direction, then from a trade perspective, and then once again, assuming you can honor risk and have risk control within your strategy, then from a risk reward standpoint, it's a very solid setup. Next one here, ticker symbol F for Ford. And the main dynamic here that I'm very curious about is that trend line right there, because I think a lot of people have now officially drawn that trend line in place, so I'm not trying to come across like I have some sort of special skill. I assure you a bunch of people have drawn that trend line, and I say all that because when people around the world have drawn the same trend line, are going to be wondering the same thing. Call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can create some very dynamic movements. So again, nothing is guaranteed, but it's certainly more than valid to think that if the price can work its way back up to that area and then get the break up through it, that break in and of itself could create some good upside buying pressure. So keep an eye on that from a breakout standpoint. If you're somebody that likes to play more so the short side of things, then I think a level that a lot of people will be watching from the short side right down there at 1950. So once again, nothing's guaranteed, but if the price were to come down there and then fail and break below that area, I think that could definitely create some more downside pressure, potentially sending that, down to the $19 mark, if not even lower than that. So technically speaking, for you breakout players, I'd keep a close eye on that trend line. For people that maybe like to play the short side, or if you like to try to play bounces, from the long side, 1950 is also a very fascinating area. Next one, AMD, and AMD is one of those stocks where it seems to go up every single day, but you can see right now it has pulled back, but I scrunched down the chart like this just to illustrate that, yeah, today was pretty nasty. However, within the grand scheme of things, it's still in an uptrend. But the one difference here that has not happened for weeks upon weeks is that the price is now down below that pink line there, which you now know is the 200 period moving average, where previously the price actually bounced very nicely off it. And before then, as you can see here, we're talking months since the price has been down below that area, which just brings up a valid question of, okay, and the good news is there are no guarantees, as I've already said. And along with that is, okay, well, just because the price is broken down below that level doesn't mean that for sure guaranteed everything's just going to collapse. But it does at least bring up the question, and you should be kind of just watching, wondering, all right, is that kind of leading indicator that there's more bearishness to come in sense of a deeper pullback? I'm not going to use the word reversal because that would be way too premature, but a deeper pullback, yeah, that now becomes a valid question because the price is now down below that pink line, and you can see right there, it's already tried to bounce back up above it, but a classic example right there. When supports are broken, they tend to act as resistance, and right there it did act as resistance. So moving forward in the near term, let's just call it 152 is going to be that initial area of resistance. As far as next potential area of support, going to be right down there at the 145.75 mark. Now, if the price goes down to 145.75 and breaks below there, I think that would definitely be confirmation that a much deeper pullback is certainly coming. But you don't want to cross that bridge. You don't want to talk too far ahead in time because, I mean, the price right now isn't even really that close to there. But nonetheless, like I said, with the break of that 200 period moving average, definitely a very interesting level. Is this, like I said, the start of a bigger pullback? Or who knows? Maybe this is just going to be a, hey, just kidding, and it snaps back upwards. I mean, it is AMD, so you never know. But regardless, a very interesting technical event has happened today. So that wraps up the top 10. If you like what you saw here and like you said, you want to take your understanding of the tool of technical analysis to another level where you can start to build consistency within strategies from it, then definitely get signed up for the class. It'll be Thursday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy the format and you enjoy these and would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort to make them, then please help me out with some communication by hitting that like button and leaving a basic comment below. Say hi. Give me a ticker symbol that you traded today. Give me a smiley face emoji, but hitting the like button and leaving a simple comment down below go a long way in communicating to me that you enjoy this format. And as long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to make these videos. So thank you for hanging out. Definitely get signed up for the free class if you want to learn how to use charts to build consistency as a trader. And everybody take care. Have a good one.